Thanks for staying with us this morning on Eye on New Mexico. As I mentioned, we are talking about some unique educational programs this morning. And for the second half of our show, we want to talk about something happening right here in Albuquerque, a program that's redefining recess at schools around town. And to talk about that, we have Laura Valdo, who is the executive director of Playworks. And we have Dr. John Icone with the Lovelace Health Plan and also a board member of Playworks. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Well, talk about, Laura, the redefinition of recess. What is Playworks and how is it working in our schools?
So Playworks is an organization that uses the power of play and physical activity to really sort of redefine what recess looks like and help reduce bullying, reduce conflict resolution, and really help kids with learning, some of those fundamental, really important skills: leadership, teamwork, empathy, how to work on a team, and then additionally really looking at that physical activity piece. As we've seen, there's challenges with the amount of time that students get outside and the amount of recess that they get, and so what Playworks is able to do is really target the time that the students do have. We utilize a full-time program coordinator or Playworks coach, which actually he spends most of his time out on the recess yard, really helping the students learn the games, learn the physical activity, and then also really throw that leadership piece in.
Well, that's a great point, and we have done a story, I know you saw it, about the reducing recess at so many schools in Albuquerque, and so that time is precious. You'll see schools that get maybe 15 minutes at a time for the kids to go out and play. So this is very structured time.
It's very organized, but there's quite a bit of choice for the students as well. We try to really make sure that the games and things we have set up are consistent. So then there's really a lot of that consistency with the rules. It really helps to eliminate a lot of conflicts and bullying that we see when all the students are sort of on the same page with how things work at recess.
Yeah, so they're kind of following a game plan a little bit more. Exactly. Maybe like gym class should be, instead of just go outside and do what you will. Exactly. Dr. Icone, why did you get involved with Playworks? How did you come about?
A couple of things. One is, as a senior medical director of Lovelace Health Plan and a practicing pediatrician for over 29 years, it was sort of a perfect fit for Lovelace. Lovelace is all about health. We have so many wellness programs and encouragement to get people involved and active, because we know that pays dividends. Healthy physical activity really supports and prevents a lot of disease states going forward. The obesity epidemic in America today, and now it's been identified with the youth. We know that our youth are more sedentary than they've ever been in their life, and that's leading to a lifelong sad scenario for our youth, and we need to do something to intervene with that. It benefits everybody. We've been in this community for over 90 years as a health system and a health plan. We're invested in the community, and the next generation of the leaders of Albuquerque and New Mexico, we want them to be healthy, and so it just seemed like a perfect fit for the health plan, because that's our goal. It's called the health plan, not the sickness plan, and so anything we can do to provide support for a project that we believe in, we're into it. So it was a perfect fit, and because of my pediatric background, it was a good fit for me to be on the board to help direct and help Laura achieve their goals in the community schools.
We are seeing a little bit of video of some of the games. So you see, like you said, some organized basketball and other games here. Obviously, the health aspect, the physical fitness aspect is huge. But, Laura, you mentioned the bullying aspect, and that's something we talk about so much, unfortunately, lately in the news. How is something like this helping reduce that problem?
So one of the things that we've noticed at Playworks, and Playworks is a national organization. We're based out of Oakland, so we've been around for about 16 years total. One of the things that we've noticed is, a lot of the instances of bullying occur on the playground, and the majority of them occur because there's not that structure happening. The students aren't able to play safely with each other because, there's a group of kids that say, well, these are the rules of this game, and we're the only ones that play, and those kinds of things. And by incorporating our Playworks organized recess, we're able to really help to eliminate a lot of that. The students, you can see the students on the video talking. Our junior coach program is an older student in the school program. The 4th and 5th graders actually help mediate, and so they are taught specific conflict resolution skills so that they're able to really help alleviate a lot of those little conflicts that start on the playground, but then they come back into the classroom and tend to get larger. So in addition to really helping the students, be able to, not have that bullying instance and not have, the challenges out in the schoolyard, we're also really helping to improve the academic setting in the classroom, because the students come back, not fighting with each other and ready to learn, and that's really something the teachers value.
Yeah, I was going to say the teachers must love this. I mean, not only they're getting extra help for one thing with these other coaches, or I forget what you call them exactly,
coaches.
But that are out there on the field with the kids during recess, probably taking some time away from the teachers having to supervise everything.
Absolutely. Right, we actually did, this is our first year, we just wrapped our first year here in New Mexico, and we did a mid-year survey in January, and the teachers reported recovering about 7 to 8 minutes of teaching time every recess time. So that comes out to about 21 hours a year.
That's incredible. Where does Playworks go from here now? You were in 7 Albuquerque schools, elementary schools, this first year. Are you expanding from there?
We are. I think we owe it to the kids of New Mexico, and not even just Albuquerque. We're really interested in looking at the state as a whole and where the needs are. Our 7 schools, the 3,100 students that we serve, we made a tremendous impact on them, but we're not finished. There's a lot of need out there for schools that could need our program and could utilize our program, and it's our vision to really be a statewide organization and serve every school in every city, every rural community, every tribal community that needs us.
Dr. Icahn, this was a focus on low-income schools this year, I know. Is that where, as a health provider, you're seeing a lot of need?
Well, absolutely. I think it's there's so many layers to this program. It seems so simple on the surface, play, recess, but I think it's one of the most strategically focused programs that I've been associated with. A couple of things. The population at risk are Title I schools, in terms of a lot of support out of the school setting. So a lot of the things that they need to be learning, their skills that Laura alluded to, that's the place where they learn those. The other thing that I think I'd like to touch on is the involvement of the very group that's usually not involved. So who's sitting on the sidelines during recess? It's the slightly obese child who isn't very coordinated. They don't get picked. So if you just let the kids with their own devices, then you have organized sports. And if you notice, and Laura can comment, that the types of activities are not necessarily baseball, football, but they're like foursquare, and things that anyone can participate in it. And the key that I think is so neat is that it engages the very population of kids that we want to not be embarrassed about their situation. So they're not the most coordinated kid, but the involvement of those kids at recess is universal. And the other thing that's so cool to me, especially in the Title I schools, is peer-to-peer leadership. Adults are always handing down stuff to kids to do, but when you teach the coaches in the upper grades to be peer-to-peer management of conflict resolution, peer-to-peer engagement, it pays dividends. We're creating the leaders in New Mexico by having these 5th grade students learn leadership skills, learn how to manage conflict resolution. Those are going to pay dividends in high school, college, and in the business careers that they go into down the road. So on the surface, it doesn't seem deep, but as you start to peel the layers away, there's so many learning experiences, life lessons. But it pays dividends on a lot of levels. So the Title I schools obviously are targeted because they are the ones who probably have the least resources to avail themselves of these types of leadership techniques, lessons in physical activity, organized sports. Many of them, as you know, they can't afford to go buy the football shoes or even join the soccer team or whatever. Here they have an opportunity to learn to be physical and to learn that physical activity doesn't necessarily have to mean organized sports. You can be very physical just by walking, playing, running around, swinging, and that's the life lessons we want to hopefully impart to the next generation, is that movement is important.
Well, that's great, and I love the 5th graders kind of coaching the younger students. What other grades are we talking about here, Laura?
We usually work with kindergarten through 5th grade, or the oldest grade in the school. So some of our schools are kindergarten through 8th grade or 6th grade, depending on the school.
So everyone's involved, though, in the school, not just certain grades.
Absolutely.
And, I think that a lot of people forget, what happens during recess. I mean, you kind of remember back to your own days in school, but this is very unique. How is this different than maybe a typical school? What's what's happening at recess?
I think one of the things that you see a lot differently is, Dr. Icahn alluded to it, is really the inclusion of all of the students.
Yeah.
You always have students that are going to be playing basketball or playing football, and that's something that they do, and that's okay. But there's a lot of kids that just don't have a game or don't have something to play. And one of the things that we try to do is give the students a game.
Yeah, that's fun. And is it a requirement then to participate in Playworks when the coaches are all out there? Or are they saying, okay, everyone in this class, get over here. This is what we're doing?
We don't actually we've never made it a requirement, but it doesn't need to be, because I think the students that perhaps were a little hesitant at the beginning see the fun that's happening and see that they're not going to get picked on, they're not going to get teased, everybody's playing, and if somebody gets out, it's a high five, good job, and go to the end of the line and come back in the game. So even the students that could have been holdouts at the beginning definitely are in the game by the time it comes
they came on their own, basically.
Yes, definitely.
Well, and I think that the peer pressure, to have, it's a lot more amenable if a fifth grader goes over and says, hey, girls, get up off of there, come over here and start playing, than an adult doing it. So it's that peer pressure to be engaged, and it's non-threatening. It's just a lot it's non-threatening because they don't keep score. There's not outcomes.
Yeah.
It's just physical activity, and I think that's a good question. I bet if you just compared schools, that's one of the most obvious things you see, that everyone is moving.
Absolutely.
And not just sitting on the sideline standing around. Well, sounds like a great program. Any way that other people, are you ever looking for volunteers for this, etc.?
Right. Absolutely. We're always definitely. We're always looking for volunteers to work with our students. Particularly, we run some after-school components, so we do some developmental leagues, basketball, volleyball. We're always looking for help with that. As we continue to expand, we're always looking for donors. We're looking for communities that could be interested in Playworks. Even if it's outside of Albuquerque, we have a tremendous focus on really looking at the rest of the state and helping. And so schools, principals, folks that are interested in this program, definitely get in touch with us.
Yeah, as we're going, we're on summer break now, but it'll be back to school before we know it. So if you are watching and interested in bringing Playworks to your district, or in donating or getting involved with Playworks, you can definitely contact us at the station. Well, thank you, Laura Valdo, the Executive Director of Playworks, and Dr. John Icahn with Lovelace Health Plan, for sharing this with us today.
Thank you.
And hopefully next year, even more schools.
Absolutely.
So good luck with that. Well, thanks for joining us for Eye on New Mexico. We'll see you again right here next week.